I will be talking in this video about what would happen if you could reverse time. What would happen if you took a moment in time, like now, and then just played the laws of physics backwards from that point? This might sound like a stupid question. Obviously, everything that has already happened would just happen again, but in reverse. And no one would notice anything out of the ordinary because everyone would be losing their memories rather than gaining them, and there would be nothing new to experience. It would be just like playing the tape backwards. So let's do that. Oh, and apparently, if you play the word oil backwards, it sounds the same. So let's find out if that's true. Oil. Oil. Slook up is if all of the oxygen. And y'all, mouse is new number because you in the past all. Mouse server you in the past all by it's in the course you will. So there you go. But is that what would happen if you could run time backwards? I would argue not. I would argue that something very different would happen. There are three important factors here. Number one, the laws of physics being almost time symmetrical. Number two, quantum indeterminacy, and number three, the second law of thermodynamics. So number one, it might come as a surprise, but the laws of physics work almost the same in reverse as they do forwards. There are some small differences, but nothing we need to worry about here. As an aside, if you reverse electromagnetic charge, parity, and time all together, you do get an exact symmetry. Reversing parity means making everything a mirror image. This is known as CPT symmetry. It's quite counterintuitive that the laws of physics are almost time symmetrical. If you play something backwards, as I have just done, everything is completely different. You can drop a glass and smash it on the floor going forwards in time, but you can't unsmash a glass. You remember the past but not the future. That seems pretty asymmetrical. But on the other hand, if you have some particles in a box just bouncing off each other and the side of the box, you probably wouldn't know which way I was playing the tape. I'll come back to those asymmetries shortly. Gravity also works the same if you reverse time. This might also seem counterintuitive. If I film myself dropping an object onto the ground and play it backwards, it will suddenly shoot upwards as if gravity has been reversed. So has gravity been reversed? First note that nothing else shoots upwards, which they would do if gravity was reversed. Everything else stays rooted to the ground. And even the thing that I drop stays rooted to the ground for a while before it suddenly shoots upwards. But that sudden upwards movement has nothing to do with gravity. When the object hit the ground going forwards in time, its kinetic energy was dispersed out into the surroundings. When I play the film backwards, it's as if all this energy has converged onto the object at once, causing it to fly upwards. But it slows down before it reaches my hand, accelerating at 9.8 meters per second squared downwards, which is the acceleration due to gravity. So gravity does work as normal when time is reversed. And if you reverse a video of the Earth orbiting the Sun, it's still in orbit, but just the other way round. But surely none of this matters. In a deterministic universe, we can play time backwards and everything will happen the same, according to these deterministic laws. Not so fast, because as number two, quantum indeterminacy. It appears that at the quantum level there is a certain amount of indeterminism, that the laws of physics have an inherent random component, making them unpredictable. And if this is the case forwards in time, then it's the same backwards in time, because of the almost symmetry regarding time that I have previously mentioned. Well, actually, it might not be random. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics says that there is no actual randomness, but every possibility is played out, and it just seems random to an observer who only experiences one of these outcomes. But this would also work backwards in time. The point is that whichever interpretation you take of quantum mechanics, it works as well when time is reversed as when time is running forward. This appears to lead us to the conclusion that we have many possible paths just as much as we have many possible futures. This might be a bit hard to take in. The past is normally thought of as a fixed thing, but there's nothing in the laws of physics, as we understand them, that means that this has to be the case. But still, this shouldn't matter. Even if slight differences are possible when you run time backwards, what happens when you play the tape backwards is just as likely as any other outcome, and we would expect it to therefore be about an average outcome. Again, not so fast. This brings us to our third important factor, the second law of thermodynamics. I mentioned before that you can drop a glass and it will smash, but you can't unsmash it. And also that we remember the past, but not the future. Remember? But why is that if the laws of physics are symmetrical, or nearly so? Well, the second law of thermodynamics says that entropy will always increase, or at least doesn't decrease. Entropy is effectively a measure of disorder. You won't find entropy mentioned in the fundamental laws of physics that describe how fundamental particles and forces interact with each other. That's because it's a statistical law. Basically, there are more ways to create disorder than order. It's just very unlikely that all the forces will come together in exactly the right way to put a broken glass exactly back together again, because it requires such precision. Whereas a glass can smash in many ways. Also, a load of energy is unlikely to suddenly converge on a ball, causing it to fly upwards. So that's why things look so weird if you play a video backwards. A smashed glass spontaneously reassembling, a spilt drink spontaneously unspilling, your orange squash separating out into water and concentrate, a ball suddenly flying upwards. That's all because entropy has to decrease for these things to happen, which simply doesn't happen in the real forwards time world, because it's too unlikely. And because there are no major fundamental differences in the laws of physics in each time direction, it's actually just this increasing entropy that gives us our arrow of time. I'll put that in a different way. If entropy is increasing, then everything acts as if time is running forwards. So knowing what we now know, what would happen if, instead of playing the tape backwards, we run the laws of physics backwards and give them another chance to play out? Well, because of quantum indeterminacy, things don't have to be the same as they happened on the tape. In fact, they almost certainly won't be, given the number of quantum decisions that will be taking place. And as soon as things get out of sync, which would happen very quickly, they would diverge massively. And that's because entropy would increase rather than decrease. And because of that, it would be like running time forwards rather than backwards. So given this, what do you think would happen in the world generally if we ran time backwards? What would we experience? It's difficult to say exactly what would happen in the immediate aftermath. People who are largely stationary, such as someone sitting at their desk, might actually notice very little change initially. Obviously, any movement someone is making would suddenly happen in reverse, which would be a bit weird, like someone had taken control of their arm. But that would be a one-off. And as long as the sudden reversal of movement didn't do anything like stopping people's hearts, then they should be fine. But what would happen in a person's brain, in their mind? Would they not be thinking backwards? No. Because of quantum events happening slightly differently, this would immediately stop any entropy decrease in its tracks. The second law of thermodynamics would stop the brain functioning backwards and losing its memory. Someone's brain might become momentarily scrambled, but after that, it should just carry on like nothing's happened. Neurons in the brain would fire in the correct entropy increasing manner. Even though time is running backwards, this person would start to live their life forwards. A person's brain and body would function as it would do in an entropy increasing world, so the same as it does now. But people travelling in cars and planes would have something to worry about. they would suddenly find themselves travelling backwards very fast. So there probably would be some catastrophic accidents in immediate aftermath of the reversal. But things should calm down soon enough, and life would go on pretty much as normal. Obviously the Earth would carry on spinning the wrong way round and would be travelling the wrong way round the Sun, but people would just have to get used to that. Clocks, by the way, would not run backwards. Because by design they run forwards in an entropy increasing world, that's what they would start doing again pretty quickly, unless they stop and need restarting. But basically anything that doesn't break would work in its normal time forwards manner. So that's what would happen. There would be an initial shock, but then people would get on with their lives. And yes, we would get older, not younger. Nothing like playing the tape backwards. And because of what I said about actually having many possible pasts as well as futures, this is arguably as much a part of reality as what we actually consider did happen. Except that it would make more sense to think of it as another future rather than the past, because entropy is increasing, and that's what defines the arrow of time. And once we've reversed time, we could then re-reverse it again at any point, and do so as many times as we want. Arguably, a full picture of space-time reality would contain every such possibility, and that's because every point in time, not just this point, has many possible futures and many possible pasts going in either time direction. We generally consider our universe to have started with a low entropy Big Bang, but if we run time backwards from now, then actually we'd end up with a high entropy Big Crunch, like a black hole. So does it even make sense to say that the universe definitively began with a low entropy Big Bang? We arrive at the Big Bang conclusion because we assume that we have a past and a future, and because entropy increases going into the future, it must have been lower in the past. If entropy increases leading to a big crunch, it would make more sense to talk of this as a future rather than a past. But if we wanted, we could define now as the low entropy point, and that would effectively give us two futures, one in each direction. One ends in a high entropy big crunch, and the other does whatever the universe is going to do anyway in the future. But then it seems weird that now could be the objective centre point of time, with a future in each direction, as if the current state of affairs, with all of its specific detail, was the starting point. But I'm not really saying that. I'm saying that any point in time can be seen as the centre point, with a future in each time direction. This would mean that the Big Bang was not the single objective beginning of time, but it still seems the most neutral and symmetrical for us to use. Symmetrical because arguably it also makes sense to talk about what happened after the Big Bang, but in the other time direction. The universe probably evolved in a similar way to how it did for us. One Big Bang, two big futures. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, you can subscribe to my channel. Even better, you can buy my book, Stuff and Consciousness, Connecting Matter and Mind, by me, Toby Pereira. It's all about how your seemingly non-physical thoughts and feelings can come from your physical brain. It's available in paperback and also on Kindle. Links are available in the video description below, or you can visit my website at www.tobypereira.co.uk. Thank you.